Hi, it's Erin with Assets and Arbitrage, Simon Family Investment Ventures. And today we're going to have a little bit different discussion. I don't have any economic updates or anything for you today, any market updates, simply because really right now you should be continuing to dollar cost average. You should be continuing to stack your sats, stack your precious metals, whatever investment strategy that you are incorporating into your life, you should be doing that on a consistent basis. Two, right now, for at least indefinitely, right, until we see something kind of move or change, I don't need to talk to you guys about Bitcoin. You know everything there is to know about Bitcoin. You understand the movements. You're watching this every day. You're on top of your coins. I've talked to you, well, Simon really talked to you guys ad nauseum about precious metals and stacking your ounces. Silver is a really good idea right now to hedge against a weak US dollar. I want to talk to you guys about the things that the other 100,000 people in our space are not talking about, right? So I think it's important that I at least give you guys a disclaimer. That way, if you want to scroll and do something else, you are free to do that. Many of you guys have watch lists, you're watching the markets, you're on Twitter, you are on top of whatever your investment strategy is. I don't need to come in and give you now yet another update. Two, the ports are empty. What does that mean? It means while we're in the middle of this, what I would call a tariff trade war, no shipments are coming in. The majority of the items that were utilized in the United States is actually exported from other countries, mainly China. And we are just right now, nothing is coming in, right? Nobody's going to play ball with the United States and the weaponization of their power or their dollar anymore. With that being said, when you guys go to the supermarket, and Simon and I have been telling you this for like 2.5 years, get something extra, get extra perishable goods, get extra toilet paper, get extra toothpaste, get extra stuff for your medicine, your emergency medicine kit, for your medicine cabinet, the things that you think you could possibly need if there was a shortage. You want to spend just a little bit of extra money to get the things that you need to have in a little bit of excess just in case, right? Cushion yourself. If you stay ready, you won't have to get ready at the last minute, and that will prove to be difficult for a lot of people who are not paying attention to what's going on, don't seem to be interested in keeping up with economic situations, global economic situations, and geopolitical situations. So it's important too that if you get a chance, just kind of mention it to your friends and family. It's not your responsibility, it's not your job to save anyone, but if you can just put it in people's ear like, hey, the ports are empty in multiple places. When you go out, go on and get you some extra stuff so that you are prepared in your household in case things get really, really bad. All right, all disclosures, all disclaimers taken care of. Today's show is about transgenerational wealth, same thing as generational wealth, but I added the trans on there because I wanted to show you, or at least discuss with you, the transformation that happens when you are pursuing this. Now, here's the thing. I watch TikTok, YouTube, whatever social media platforms you can think of, and everybody talks about generational wealth, generational wealth. If you ask the average person what they thought generational wealth consisted of, the average person's answer would be something along the lines of make enough money in this lifetime in excess that allows you to die, pass it on to your children, and they have access to excess money. And what I feel like the average person is missing is that generational wealth is more than just the acquiring of multiple assets, multiple appreciating assets, so on and so forth. There's a lot more to it that I feel like doesn't get enough discussion. Everybody's approach seems to be tunnel vision on the money, tunnel vision on the assets, tunnel vision on the appreciating assets, tunnel vision on multiple streams of income. And I want to just tilt your crowns a little bit. People who have generational wealth, who the wealth was passed down to them, for the most part, their minds were prepared for that wealth in advance as a child, as a newborn. I remember Simon was scrolling through social media and he happened upon the gold group, right? The precious metals gold group. And he showed me something interesting. This man was holding his grandson. This child is hours old. And the first thing he did was put a gold 1 ounce American gold eagle on that child's third eye. So that was the first thing he did. This child was just a few hours old. He's still, when babies are born, they have that stuff on them from the amniotic fluid and all the fluids that are passing out of the mom as the baby's being born. Like that child wasn't even completely clean yet. And he already had wealth, gold, opening the eye of the third eye of this child who was just hours old. That is the mindset I want to talk to you guys about. And it seems like so very few people are zeroed in on that type of mindset. So for our community, you notice that we talk about generational wealth and it doesn't seem as prevalent in our community. What seems prevalent in our community is generational poverty. It's weird. But not necessarily, because we understand that poverty is a mindset, just like wealth is a mindset. And more so, it is the lack of really identifying the transgenerational curses that cause that mindset. I'm going to say it again. It is the transgenerational curses that cause that mindset. Now, when I use the term transgenerational curses, I know a lot of you are thinking about demonic entities and outside external forces that are coming against you to hold you back and sabotage you in life. No, 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 no. I'm not talking about any of those things. When I talk to you about transgenerational curses, I am talking about the understanding that you live in the house with unhealed people, who lived in the house with unhealed people, who were raised by unhealed people. And in our community, we seem to be, I don't think we're failing. I don't think so. I think this new generation is picking up on it and they're doing the best they can to resolve it. So I'm going to talk in very generic tones, right? We want to build generational wealth for our children. And again, it's more than teaching them what Bitcoin is. It's more than teaching them how to buy Bitcoin, how to buy precious metals, to even buy precious metals. It's more about cultivating the mind that will grow and blossom the generational wealth for the next generation. This is really where I'm going with this conversation. And in order for us to build generational wealth, we have to address transgenerational curses. Okay? We live in a world, like I said, with unhealed people. Tina, go do that in Junior's room or Reggie's room. Um, we live in a world with unhealed people. We have encounters with unhealed people. We are in relationships with unhealed people who were raised by unhealed people. And I keep bringing that up because I want us to kind of see things on what I call a macro level, right? For those of you who are single, who do not have children, but you may have issues with your family because you're the black sheep or whoever you identify yourself as in the family, a lot of times fail to realize the psychological age of your parents who are raising you. That's one. And two, the responses the behavior, the culture in a sense that is taken on and passed down from generation to generation. And it's those things that prevent generational wealth from being built. I've been talking to you guys about grounding. I've been talking to you guys about doing gratitude rituals, however it is, whether it's a gratitude journal, whether you just speak your gratitude out loud, whether you do your gratitude while you're grounding, whatever your gratitude rituals is. And the reason why grounding and gratitude and all of these wonderfully raw practices are important is because it begins to help you remove the layers of false programming, not just from the world, not just from television, not just from the elites, but also from your upbringing, right? A lot of people don't understand when you see this person mismanaging their money, that these are the money blocks and the behavior and the responses that this person has imprinted on them from the person who raised them, and so on and so forth. And because these are people are so distracted, they're not identifying these things, this can go on for generations, right? There's nobody sitting down and teaching the child how to run a budget. There's nobody sitting down and teaching the child the value of the energy that comes with money, that comes with their time, that comes with their talent. Nobody's sitting down and really mentoring this child to what the talents of this child may be outside of sports. When you look at our community, the only thing you see get mentored 9.5 times out of 10 is sports. It's football, basketball. Not even baseball, because that don't belong to us anymore, right? That's a whole different cultural domination, right? You see young Black boys, they will get mentored to be damned if it is football and basketball, because the idea is that maybe my son can go to the NBA, maybe my son can go to the NFL. Well, maybe your son is a wonderful artist, or maybe your son has a propensity for math. Is somebody mentoring him in that? Right? We want to start asking these questions, and I'm pointing out some of these generational curses where the son who does have a hidden talent for something that doesn't get mentored, maybe he's able to mentor himself, maybe he's able to cultivate that hidden talent himself, and he's able to kind of build something, but because of the different wounds of growing up, the neglect, the not paying attention to you because you don't play football, you don't play basketball, or what have you, causes a lot of wounds and that he has to overcome in order to be healed and begin to build his wealth. Hi, Cousin John. Hi, Let Freedom Ring. And these are the little areas that we want to start having real discussions on, right? In our community. Now, I want to talk to people about the idea of homeschooling. One of the issues that we have is we send our children off to school, and at some point, it is the teacher's responsibility to teach your child because you don't have time to do it. I get it. But far too many parents not only claim they don't have time, they also lack the interest. What are you learning in school? How are you learning it? What are you having trouble with? Can I identify your talents in what you're learning in school? Can I kind of block and deflect some of the bad programming you're getting in school? And school is all about programming, societal programming. These things affect our ability to build generational wealth. Why? Because we are not addressing the generational curses. On a spiritual level, there's something you guys need to be aware of, and I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but when you're on your walk, when you're on your life journey, right, the thing that actually counts, you have energy, you have, let me use a different term, you have things, I'm going to use that term for now. You have things that aren't necessarily your things, right? If anxiety is an issue for you, Some of that anxiety is not your anxiety. Some of that anxiety is your mother's anxiety or your father's anxiety, which they were carrying their mother's anxiety or their father's anxiety or their aunt's anxiety. And that person was carrying, and you can start to see the amplification of the things you are carrying of that person. Some people say, well, that sounds ridiculous. Does it? You hear all the time. You have your grandmother's eyes. You have your aunt's kind of build. You have the mannerisms of my grandfather. If we carry physical aspects of our ancestors, you look just like your great great grandmother Pearl. I have a picture of her. You are the exact splitting image of her. Then you're also carrying their spiritual energetics as well, good and bad, right? Your Aunt Mabel used to sing just like that. I remember I was watching an episode of Jennifer Hudson, and I can't remember who she was talking to, but she was, I think this, it wasn't even the Jennifer Hudson show. I think I was watching where she was talking with Simon Cowell and them from American Idol. And she was explaining that her grandmother, she sings like her grandmother. And her grandmother always had dreams of being a star, and it perpetuated in her. She has her grandmother's voice. I think she made the comment like you wouldn't be able to distinguish between her and her grandmother at that same age because the voice was the same. Nas used to have this great bar. He said, I resurrect through the birth of my seed to let you know that the energetics are carried down. The problem is, is that good and bad energetics are carried down. Anxiety, regret, bitterness, anger, rage, cruelty, being a doormat. I don't have another word for that. I don't have a better description for that. Or lack of boundaries, let's say that. And you want to begin to, when you're doing your work, your energetic work, you're building generational wealth for your children. You want to sit still and start to contemplate the things that you're working through. Are they just your things, or are they also your mother's things? Meaning, do you respond and react to certain situations like your mom did, like your dad did, like your aunt, your uncle, whoever raised you did? Was that imprinted on you? Do you remember your mother complaining about this thing that her mother did, your grandmother? And you want to start looking at the areas of transgenerational curses that you can begin to correct and resolve within you to help build in a solidified way generational wealth for your children. Again, I'm going to scream from the rooftops that wealth is a mindset. And many of us have had disadvantages. We weren't cultivated in that environment. When legacy children are born, from the time they come out the womb, they know they are rich. They are treated that way. They are taught that way. They are brought up that way, that they are wealthy and the world is their oyster. And you can kind of see it a little bit better now because there's so much. I know reality TV is fake, but even when you watch, some of the interactions between celebrities and their kids, those children know who they are from young. They're not censored. They're not shut down or anything, right? So when I say wealth is a mindset, part of that mindset is sitting down and analyzing, are you your most authentic self? Meaning, are you the spiritual energetic that you came into this world to be? What are you carrying with you? Are you carrying the anxiety of your grandmother? Are you carrying the stress of your father? How many young Black men who grew up in the house with their father, and even those who didn't grow up in the house with their father, you can see certain mannerisms like you do that just like your father does that. That's nuts. He ain't even in the house with you. That's crazy. What are you carrying with you? What types of things? Sit down with somebody in your family and what type of things did they go through? What type of suffering did they endure? And can you see any of that in the way they responded to those situations? Can you see any of that in you? Are you able to now release it so that it is not hampering or burdening you as you're doing your journey? This is hella important. You guys are talking about doing shadow work and all these different spiritual practices. I don't hear anybody talking about in the discovery of my shadows, in the discovery of the archetypes that I'm aligned with. What am I carrying with me? Hi, cousin Courtney. Oh, I haven't seen you in so long. Oh, I see the Jump Out Girls is here. Hey, Tima. um, they have pictures. I've been seeing pictures of the grandmother holding the big basket. She takes the basket off her head. She puts it on her daughter. The daughter takes a bigger basket off of her head, puts it on like a teenager. She got an even bigger basket on her head, and she's putting it on this small child. And you see that the basket's getting bigger and bigger as it's being handed down. I'm seeing the artwork of it. I am not hearing the discussions, the dialogue, the conversation. I'm not hearing any of that. For the relationship situation, there's a whole bunch of talk about relationships and men ain't this and women ain't that. And then you start to ask, did you live in a household where you saw this modeled? No. So how are you going to model it if you've never seen it and you don't know what it looks like? Right? Let's have a little bit of grace with people. I do get people do a lot of dumb stuff. I get that. There's a lot of karmic activity going on, to me, some of it wildly unnecessary. But if you came to do all your karma in one go, I can see that happening. Tina, go find out if somebody's burning something. I don't know what I'm smelling, but I don't like it. Go find Junior or Reginald. Um, Hurry up, baby. So the transgenerational understanding of what energy am I carrying? What energy should I be identifying? Wake somebody up and ask them to go downstairs and see what is burning. Wake somebody up. Go wake Reginald up. He been, um, what are you carrying with you? Right? We all want to build generational wealth. We all want to purchase the appreciating aspect. We want to see our assets to the moon, right? That's the thing that we talk about all the time. And these things are very, very, very important. But if it's not handled properly, it will get fumbled, right? If your mindset is built all on your self-worth is all about how much assets you've accumulated and how much Bitcoin you have and so on and so forth. Fortunes are lost every single day. Every day. And a lot of millionaires will tell you, I could lose X number of million today. Don't worry about that. I'm going to build it back up, because they have a very specific mindset. They've done a very specific aspect of work, or because of the way their generational um, situation was set up, there's a lot of stuff they don't have to clear out the way first to build that mindset. With us and our community, that all of that's on purpose. There's a whole bunch of stuff you have to move out the way. Okay, yeah, I think I'll the eggs. Tell them to turn it off. I was boiling some eggs and I think I forgot. All of that is I lost my daggone train of thought. Oh, in our community, all of that's on purpose. You gotta knock all of this stuff out the way before you can build yourself up. You gotta go now and it's like, I don't know if you ever seen in the West Indies. Did you turn the stove off? I did that. I forgot. You if you go in the West Indies, there's sometimes I gotta take what we call a cutlass. It looks like death's scythe. It's probably called a scythe, right? We call it a cutlass, no matter what it is, cutlass. And you gotta cut all this bush down before you can get to some of the sugar cane and stuff like that. Versus the farmer who's got the very nice and neat rows and rows of great agriculture. They can go ahead and harvest it. They can turn the soil over, plant new real easy. They don't have to do a whole bunch of preparation before they get to their soil. For us, it's different. So while you're grounding, while you're performing, while you're practicing your gratitude rituals, now you want to start looking at, on a generational aspect, psychologically, how was I impacted by people I may not have even met? And I can guarantee you that you are impacted by these people, right? With the amount of anxiety, and I'm talking about us in the United States for right now, with the amount of anxiety the average person walks around with, again, I'm talking to you guys about your nervous system. You want to start doing the math. You want to start investigating, right? What are the things I need to identify that cause, what are some of the roots of this anxiety? What are the things that trigger me? Sometimes you'll talk to somebody about some of the things that trigger them, and they will tell you in casual conversation, like, I don't even know why that bothers me, because on a conscious level, it shouldn't bother me. And then my next question is, but did it bother your mother? Did it bother your father? Did it bother your grandmother? Did it bother your great grandmother? And that's what you're carrying, that's what you're feeling. We are the only culture that doesn't do any type of ancestral work. That's crazy. Everywhere in the world, they honor their ancestors. They do this with their ancestors. They do that. They deliberately cut you off from your ancestors and make y'all individuals to cut you off from empowerment, from that divine energy, from that spark, from your history. There's a million reasons why you're cut off from your ancestors, but your ancestors do matter. You're not to be cut off from them. It's why when children are adopted, they have this inclination to look for their birth mother, right? It's the ancestry, the connection, that spiritual, energetic connection you have to these people that are important. They are important. Um, Sinners was trying to introduce the idea of that there's nothing new under the sun, and nothing creative happens without some sort or form of energetic contribution from the ancestors. The same goes for your life, right? When you are doing the inner work, you have to sit and kind of map out the blessings that come down and the curses that have come down. It's very, very important, right? Transgenerational wealth does not come without acknowledging and resolving transgenerational curses and blessings. Okay? And it needs to be a big part of the conversation. Everybody wants to keep everything to just money, money, money. You know why? Because it's not personal. It's absolutely personal. Absolutely personal. And it should be absolutely personal, because you didn't come to this world to make money. That's not what your life path is about. That's why, now I do get that the Bible has a lot of fallacy in it. Get it? I get it. I get it. But there's a lot of truth in there. And one critical key truth is seek ye the kingdom first, and all of these other things will be added unto you. Right? Now let's associate that with the Geneva Bible of 1597. This is the verse. Are you ready? It says, the kingdom of heaven is within, which is in the King James Version. But you know what's not? The next line. And it says, and he who knows himself will find his way therein. What are the keys to the kingdom? You. Your ass is the key to the kingdom. You are the key. The kingdom of heaven is within. And he who knows himself will find his way therein. That's how you get to the kingdom of heaven, by going within, by doing the inner work, right? It's important that you do the inner work, because when you begin to shift your mindset, shift your perception, have higher perception, you're operating now on a higher level of consciousness. You are going to magnetize the wealth that is coming to you according to your life purpose. You don't have to be the poor righteous teacher. And they put that in there, right? Because the poor righteous teachers, those righteous teachers had the truth. So what they had to do was block them from that wealth, block them by, doing little psychological things, right? Money blocks and so on and so on. Money's evil. You're righteous. You don't, you give your, no, 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 and no. Because that same Bible we talking about, when they didn't have any money, Jesus was like, oh, word, we broke. He reached into the water, grabbed a fish, and pulled out a talent of silver. Do you know how much a talent of silver is worth? A talent of silver was like, I can't remember how many ounces. I think it was like 57 ounces or something back then. But a talent of silver wasn't an ounce of silver. It was a talent of silver he pulled out of this big fish's mouth. He was able to magnetize wealth when they needed it. He was just trying to show them, like, y'all making a bigger deal about this than you should. The other thing, and this is why I keep talking to you guys about your nervous systems. When you look at the Jesus archetype, but let's look at a person that we know lived, right? I'm not denying Jesus, so y'all don't get your panties in a ruffle, please. But for argument's sake, let's talk about a character who we know lived. His name is Simon Toko, Simeon Toko, Toko. Look him up. He had the Jesus archetype, right? He had the Jesus archetype in him. He was what you would call Christ consciousness. He lived in the mid 1800s, and he was able to perform wild miracles. You read about in history these individuals who are able to perform all of these incredible miracles. And you say, how are they able to do that and the average person can't? You know why? Because the average person's nervous system is shot to shit with all of the suffering, the unresolved trauma, the continued cycles of trauma, karmic lessons that they bring upon themselves. It was designed to keep you in fear, keep you in doubt, because there is a very select group of beings that live on this planet. We're going to call them archons. That's how they eat. And when I say eat, I don't mean eat. I mean, like, they have to consume that in order to continue thriving. Okay? When your nervous system is built up to the level that an Elijah, that a Jesus, that a Simon Toko, real faith healers who are on record, you are able to cure diseases and do the most miraculous things, and we don't know how. Watch their nervous system. Their nervous system is empowered to a level. They have a peace that surpasses all understanding. And this is why we have to do the inner work. You want to be wealthy? Great. You need to have nerves of steel, right? You cannot be emotional about your money. That's why we make fun of paper hands. They say stuff. I remember Simon used to make the best paper hand jokes. Like, he got he got wet paper hands. Like, that's how bad it is. The minute there's a little shake in the market, you already pull your money out at a loss. Wet paper hands. I used to think that was so funny. I don't know why I was goofy, but you cannot be emotional about wealth, right? Billionaires have to have nerves of steel. You hear all the time, Mark Zuckerberg lost, $16 billion today. Elon Musk lost $256 billion today. You're like, well, damn, you have so many billions of dollars that you could just be like, after losing, tens or hundreds of $1 billion is a lot to lose that and just keep going. They understand that as part of the market. I want you to see. Now, I don't know that they're all human either. So my argument might be invalid, right? I have no idea if they're human. Well, let's say they are. Let's say they were human. Their nervous system, right? They regulate their nervous system in a world where people's nervous systems are wildly dysregulated. I talked to you guys last show that um, Jeff Bezos, on record, quotes, tells his, hi, cousin Shango, hi, cousin David, tells his employees, or told his employees, I don't think he's running Amazon anymore, but in staff meetings and emails to his employees, you should wake up terrified every day because that's what makes you productive. Now, I want to ask y'all a real question. Do you know and can you fathom what the word terror means? Because I guarantee you he understands and can fathom what terror means. So to tell hourly waged individuals they should wake up terrified every day, to not even be successful, to be productive, it sends a very specific point and statement out to the universe. And I think it's one that should be studied, to be real honest with you. If your nervous system is not shot to shit, you know what? I can't control you. I cannot oppress you. I cannot manipulate you. I cannot deceive you. You ever met a healed woman? Can't do nothing with her. You can't lie to her. You can't manipulate her. You cannot move her without her moving upon her own accord. I believe the same goes for a healed man, even more so, amplified, magnified by 1,000, right? They want you terrified every day. That's why the news is full of fear mongering. They do things on purpose to scare you, like the ports being empty, right? They want you to beg the government for a solution. They want to be able to see the receipt that you are dependent upon them for your very survival, not thriving, survival. They don't care about the collateral damage in between. They are not there to help, support, or take care of you. That's why I can't understand in 2025 the amount of people who are energetically engaged in the political system. It simply doesn't make sense. Said Hawaii, or one of the islands in Hawaii, literally burnt down. It took 13 days for the administration to get there to even see what was going on. Is Hawaii not part of the United States? Puerto Rico. I can't tell you how many storms, how many blackouts, how many FEMA level emergencies have happened there. And it's just kind of like, that is literally the response. They don't get help. I don't even think FEMA goes there anymore. So it begs the question to now say, if I'm looking around my environment and this is what I see, how important is it to not get roped in, throttled down, and engaging in this particular energy, right? Maybe what I need to do is to get still. It says, be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that there's peace there, there's confidence there. But then it says that the kingdom of heaven is within. And then it says, not only is the kingdom of heaven is within, but he who knows himself, in order to know yourself, you got to get still. You cannot be distracted by noise when you're coming to know yourself. Shall find himself therein, right? You can make it to the kingdom. The kingdom of heaven is in a place where if you get still and you start to learn and identify the things you need to cast off, cast down, and integrate within you, No one can oppress you. No one can manipulate you. No one can deceive you. No one can move you off your square. No one can make you poor. No one can do anything to affect you in a negative, detrimental manner. And that's what these shows really should be about. I get it, right? Bitcoin's up, Bitcoin's down. That's what Bitcoin does. It is the natural ebb and flow of literally life. I told you that when you start looking at the charts, it looks just like an EKG of a healthy person who has a heartbeat, right? The market, not so good right now. It's really terrible. But look how they manipulate the market. If they just left the market alone, it too would look like a person who's alive. It would. It absolutely would if they just left it alone. If they didn't manipulate it in their favor, if they weren't always trying to conspire to keep 90% of the wealth away from 90% of the people, everybody would have what they need. But if everybody had what they need to access, everyone was able to touch their potentials, to tap into the things they desire, to thrive, they know they will never, ever, ever get a receipt that they're dependent upon and they're needed. And it couldn't manipulate you, deceive you. They cannot utilize your lower vibrations, your lower energies in order to live. They are separated from the creator, so they have to, like leeches, latch on to the being that has the spark. If y'all really look at these NPCs, they're not out doing much of nothing. They don't contribute to that type of energy or anything like that. They just are. It is the soul driven being, the divine spark, that they don't have access to that. The only way they have access is to siphon it energetically from you. That's why they want you terrified every day, to be productive for them. I'm looking y'all in y'all face and I'm telling you, this is not fellowship season. This ain't club season. This ain't hot girl summer season, hot boy summer season. Right now, we are in a time, look at the time that we are in, where you are supposed to be still and you're supposed to know that you are God, right? And that's not blasphemous. We were made in his image and likeness, right? You are supposed to get to the point where you're entering into the kingdom of heaven within, and discover the landscape, right? Get intimate, get used to the landscape, right? Seek ye the kingdom first, and everything else to be added unto you. Continue dollar cost averaging, continue, looking in speculatively, if that's what you like to do, into different coins, hedging your bet against the dollar. Do all of that good stuff, right? Put your money away, be smart. But right now, this is a season where you gotta do the inner work. People are being forced into doing the inner work because they're tired of suffering. They're tired of the karmic cycles. They're tired of the stress. They're tired of the anxiety. They're tired of the oppression. They are tired of the lies. Look at the amount of lies that we are constantly being aware of every single day. Tartaria was a real place. The mud floods, how after post reconstruction, you had all of these incredible Black cities who were thriving financially because they were the skill set. They were the masons. They were the stone builders. They were the agricultural masters. And they just flood the city, people and all, and then build something new on top of it. All of these things that are coming to light now, the truth is coming to light because the lies can no longer stand. This is the time now where you go within and you learn the truth about you. What is your life path? When you made that contract to come to earth, what did you promise to do as an energetic being? And I guarantee you, it wasn't just being focused on chasing the bag or making some money, right? That is a tool, that is a resource in order for you to have the experiences that you need to have to raise your frequency, to raise your vibration, in order to raise your level of consciousness. That's what the money's for, right? Because it's hard to do that when you're impoverished and you're striving. You're not even surviving. You're striving. You're doing the best you can do to survive, right? You want to Utilize the money to have the experiences in order to learn the things you need to learn to raise your frequency, raise your vibration, to raise your level of consciousness so that your life, as you continue moving forward in age, is higher highs, higher lows. Just like you want for the market, that's what the frequency of your life should look like, right? Not lower highs and lower lows. And there are people whose lives look like that. A lot of them. We see them on our timeline every day. Your life is lower highs and lower lows. No, the frequency of your life should be higher highs, higher lows. Y'all out here talking to me. I'm sorry. Just running my mouth. Cousin Shango said, I've never met a healed woman. Sounds nice though. Hi, Shango. Meet a somewhat healed woman. Nice to meet you. So the government is not made to help we the people. Good old fashioned rent seekers and positive influencers, distractions in these streets. I never understood religious people's drive to unalive those who simply worship differently or those who see us as blasphemers. The creator follow constantly. Okay. So there's a difference in understanding spiritual principle and religion, right? Religion was designed to bind you. I think it's in the word in Latin. It is to bind you, is to bind the mind, right? The church and this is the thing, right? They keep disconnecting you from your history. The stuff you're supposed to learn in school, mothers is distracted. They ain't going to school to learn this, that, and the third, but whatever. For a long time, the church was the government. It was the government. I talked to you guys about getting a Geneva Bible from 1597 to get the truth. You know why? Because King James didn't like the idea that Paul in Ephesians 6 was stating that worldly governments were evil. They were part of the powers, the principalities that live in high places. And he removed that from there, right? I was talking to my aunt this morning, and she had mentioned she was having a conversation with some people, and they were saying, we should absolutely respect the office of the government, yada, yada, yada. I said, let me ask you a question. If Lucifer is the God of this world, you're basically telling me I should respect the office of the God of this world after you told me he was evil and then I shouldn't obey, I shouldn't be obedient to him. Like, make your mind up. Make your mind up. Right? If he is the God of this world, he has princes that are in charge of shit. You're telling me to respect their office, right? Like, make your mind up. Either we are respecting the office of demons, devils, watchers, whatever we want to call these different beings, or we're not. If I'm a being of light and you're a being of darkness, are you saying that as a being of light, I should respect the office of the being of darkness because he's in an office? That's basically what y'all are telling us to do. I'm saying make your mind up. That's all I'm saying, right? I know the Bible in 1597 said this, and all of the Bibles before that, all of the books before that, including the Ethiopian Bible, which is the oldest Bible to date. They ain't changed nothing. Not even the brown people who are the main characters from front to back in all 88 books, right? But then you guys want to show me this change, edited, right? Show me the original copy and then turn around and tell me to respect the office of darkness. But make it make sense when you tell me to do that. Make sure you have all of your argument ready, because I'm going to look you in your face and say, that sounds ridiculous, right? Make your mind up. So there's that. Um, there is a gentleman, I don't have his name, but you guys should be seeing him on your timeline. He is coming out saying that he is the true pope. He speaks English so well, it almost sounds like native English, which is odd because he comes from the Middle East. But since the United States is Babylon, it makes sense to me. He has an enormous following, even though he just appeared after the Pope Francis, who was the last pope. And I got a whole bunch to say about that too. um, passes away. For those of you who don't know the lore is that Pope Malachi in the 1500s or 1100s, I think, had this vision of all of the popes until the last pope. In order to corroborate that, when you go into the Vatican, all around the Vatican, like in these areas here, are picture frames. And each picture frame has a picture of the Pope in his office. Now, Pope Francis is the last picture frame. And then the picture frame after that just says judgment. Know the time that you live in. So now you got this guy, he's dressed in all black and he wears a black beanie. And he does it in a way that's, I could do a whole show on that. He does it in a way where he does his genealogy like the Bible does in order to prove that he is the successor of Peter, of Christ, of Muhammad. He talks about, how his genealogy flows from his father, how his genealogy flows from his mother, how his genealogy flows from the east, how it flows from the west. He never mentions the north, but that's a show in itself. And I think about that last picture next to Pope Francis in the Vatican that simply says judgment. I believe, Aaron believes, and this is all allegedly, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, this is all allegedly, right? I'm making up stuff. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm a published author who does fiction works. This is all fiction. That he is not the Antichrist, but he is the false prophet who will usher in the Antichrist, hence bringing forth judgment. Now, I don't think judgment is going to look like the fire and brimstone that the Bible talks about, which is why I keep talking to you guys about the fifth dimension, higher frequencies, higher level of consciousness. I want to baby step you guys into it so it doesn't sound so fantastical when I talk to you about what a fifth dimension entails of. Right now, we are currently living in the third dimension where matter is solid, right, in a sense. The fourth dimension is time and space. We do have access to the fourth dimension. Many of us do access the fourth dimension. Um, some of your higher level people are able to manipulate aspects of the fourth dimension. We are moving to a new heaven and a new earth. There is a shift that is taking place right now. And if you are not seeing this on your timeline, I want you to email me because you need to adjust your algorithm to know what's going on in the world that you live in. I believe that some of the characters in the Bible who was trying to explain the rapture, the new heaven and the new earth, didn't have the words to describe how that would happen and what it would look like. We know that CERN is constantly running that Hadron Collider, and they are purposely interfering with time and space, dimension, so on and so forth, which is why the Mandela effect seems to be so prevalent for us at a certain age. Things are changed. Um, you'll see people take pictures next to a statue like this, right? I think it's like this, but the statue is like this. And it's like, there's 150 people taking a picture like this, but the statue's like this. And it just lets you know that there was some weird change that had happened over the course of time. I'm watching what I say very carefully. The earth is going through a very energetic shift. And with that being said, it is important that if you are a light being, if you have a soul, it is important for you now more than ever to do the inner work. That should be your actual focus, right? How do I do the inner work, Aaron? A lot of people ask me that, like, what do I do? Ground, like we talked about, hydrate, get your body in order. Gratitude practices, very important because that shifts your perspective on how you see things and it raises your frequency. Be the most authentic aspect of you possible. Don't shrink back for people. Don't worry if people think you crazy. None of that matters. Don't read the comments. Um, Authenticity is the highest form of frequency. It's higher than love, higher than gratitude, higher than joy. It is the highest frequency. So when we talk about higher highs, higher lows, right now when I come and I sit and I tell y'all the truth, that's authenticity. It's one of the reasons why you guys come to the live. It was one of the reasons why you guys love my relationship with Simon, because y'all knew it was real, right? It was authentic. There was sincerity in it, very high frequency. You guys should also, I implore you to get a notebook and journal. One of the things I think that is crucial in your work is when I tell you that the kingdom of heaven is within, and he who knows himself will find himself therein, inside the kingdom of heaven, understanding your dreams. If you wake up and you remember your dream, even if you only remember the fragments of it, write it down. Go on dreamybot.com. Dreamybot.com initially is going to give you the psychological symbolism of that dream. It makes no sense that some people can speak 5 different languages and don't know what their subconscious is saying to them on a daily basis. You've lived with your subconscious your whole life. You don't understand the symbolism of your dreamscape, right? Like, that's serious, because your subconscious sends you warnings, your subconscious sends you receipts, your subconscious prepares you for things. Your subconscious is able to resolve the things that need to resolve in order to discover your healing. If there's any language you speak, it should be whatever it is your subconscious is communicating with you every single night. Some people have multiple dreams a night. I'm one of those people. I have multiple dreams a night. And I gotta sit and try to remember as much of it as possible. But I have notebooks upon notebooks upon notebooks upon notebooks upon notebooks. I can probably do collective conscious symbolism because I've spent the last, I don't know, maybe 15, almost 20 years of my life figuring out what my subconscious is saying to me. That's the language you should be fluent in. What is your subconscious telling you? Um, your subconscious will also tell you if you're carrying energy that isn't yours. Your subconscious will show you that this is your grandmother's, this is your great grandfather's, this is your great 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 grandfather. This is going 16 generations back. This is past life energy that has incarnated its way into this lifetime, and you have to close the karmic cycle from it, or should go around and around like a hamster on a wheel. Oh, cousin Lester's on here. New Jersey in the house. Hey, E. Is this E double? It just says E. It says, what's good, sis? I hope all is well. I'm late, but I'm looking into the benefits of owning physical gold, silver, Bitcoin eventually. I did buy a little bit of gold back token. I'm understanding and can appreciate the simplicity of owning gold and silver, Bitcoin. E, if you have questions about it, just email me. That way you can ask whatever questions you need to. Simon and I have been buying physical silver. I know the portfolios and the different categories of silver, like I know my name. Paper contracts, just so that you can just have some money that you can offload, like right now, without having to send your stuff back. Just email me if you have questions about that. Courtney Johnson, look on Google and type in the new Black Pope, or the guy who is allegedly the new Pope. He says he's the true Pope. Look that up. He says he is the true Pope. And you'll start to see the videos where he is basically validating his genealogy and why he is the true Pope. He's a successor of Peter. He's going to tell you that. And he tells you he's the successor of Peter, the successor of Christ, and the successor of Muhammad. Very interesting. And he validates that from the east and the west, but he doesn't validate that for the north. That's a whole show. I don't even want to get into that whole conversation on why he can't validate from the north, but that's a show in itself. I miss Mr. Simon too, cousin David. Let me tell you, I miss him. He was so easy to listen to. Yeah, and he was all on the technicals, but he loved hearing my so-called conspiracies. He thought they were interesting. At least I speak English, but bad English, Spanglish, and mouse Spanglish. I speak mouse Spanglish too. But right now, when I say this isn't fellowship season, whatever it is you guys take seriously in your life, you want to have that same energy for yourself. Start looking into your dreams. You guys can email me anytime you want to. If you like, Aaron, you were talking about interpreting the dreams and I don't remember how to do that, just email me. I'm going to send you the link. It's dreamybot.com. You want to be as descriptive as possible. Give it colors, textures, anything you remember, what people said, what people did. If anything looked odd, like his head was oddly shaped or, her hair was green or something like that. There was a gigantic penguin that crossed the street as we were driving. Put all of those things into the AI system and interact with the AI system. The AI is going to spit out the psychological symbolism of the dream. You want to go deeper than that. After it finishes doing the psychological symbolism, you want to ask it for the metaphysical and the spiritual symbolism. After that, you want to ask for the unconscious symbolism. Then you want to know what archetypes, shadows, and unconscious aspects are present, running around, making special appearances in my waking life and causing havoc. What are the themes that I should be paying attention to? It also asks you questions. Do you think this? I would implore you to do that. Do you need more information? Utilize the artificial intelligence to help you map your journey. Um, I don't know where it gets its consciousness from. I kind of don't want to know, but it is wildly accurate and it will supercharge and super boost your spiritual walk. In addition to that, for those of you who play video games or who played video games, think about when you were playing a video game, you got like a health boost and it like just like just kind of like boosted you up. This is what you need. You need that boost. When you're doing inner work, your higher self, who lives between the ninth dimension and the 12th dimension, that is your intuition is literally your higher self. That voice, that quiet whisper you hear, that's always your voice. It's never anybody else's voice. It's your voice. Lives between the ninth dimension and the 12th dimension. And because they're so high up in dimensions, they are able to interact with us in this dimension because we're such a low dimension. They want to help pull you up to a higher dimension, which is the fifth dimension, higher frequency, higher vibration. Your higher self gives you signs, symbols, synchronicities, and many of us miss it. We have what I call the dry veil over our eyes, right? And some of us have very good eyesight. All three eyes are working. But for many of us, with the food, the crap, the sexual, energetic soul ties you just keep creating over and over and over again, it's just adding layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of a veil over your eyes that you either can't see the signs, the symbols, the synchronicities, or you do see them, but you just can't make sense of them. Like, that might mean something. That's so weird that I saw that today. I wonder what it means. And you never move past, I wonder what it means. You don't go the extra mile to figure out what it means. And we watch movies like that all the time, don't we? So the more you listen to your intuitive prompts, and your intuitive prompts aren't going to make any sense to you at all. You get a picture in your head to go outside and just sit. And it's like, what am I going outside to sit and do? What am I waiting for? Right? If you start following every intuitive prompt you get. Don't be scared. Take the risk. Some people overthink it. How do I know that that's my intuitive prompt and that's not just a random ass thought because I have ADHD? Just do it. Right? It's not telling you to do nothing crazy. It just doesn't make sense. Just do it. You keep following your intuitive prompt, you'll notice that your intuition, your higher self speaking to you, she's going to get, or he's going to get louder and louder and louder. When I say louder, I don't mean like temptation loud, because temptation talks to you loud, don't it? You ever have a craving for something you probably shouldn't be eating, or a craving for someone you shouldn't be running around with? It's loud. It bombards you. It, you know what I mean? Like, it don't let go of you until you fulfill the thing that it doesn't want you to do. It's like the angel and the devil on your shoulder. The devil was always louder than the angel. The angel's like, you want to do that? That's fine. And then it just sit there quiet on your shoulder. Right? Do the opposite. Listen to that quiet whisper, that quiet thing. Pursue that vision that just kind of pops into your mind. Doesn't have to make sense, just do it. And you're going to start to develop a connection to your higher self. For y'all who've been in the church, this is the Holy Spirit that's sealed within you. They just call it something separate to make you feel separate from it. It is your higher self, which means it's just you in another dimension who's smarter than you in this dimension. And they're telling you how to walk the path that you mapped out for yourself before you incarnated here. Declare to the universe, I am removing all false seals, all density veils. Do y'all know what a density veil is? I don't know if anybody in the chat gonna be like yes or no. What a density veil is, when you're not in this meat suit, is what I'm gonna call it, you are pure consciousness. When you incarnate and you land in the meat suit, you begin to develop what they call density veils. That's why majority of people, when they're born, they don't remember who they were. You have these small children who are saying, you know, in my other life, you were my daughter. And we used to go to the store, you have all of these small children who were telling you who they were and what they did in their previous life. Those are star seeds. They come back with the remembrance, but as they grow and as the people around them discourage them from such speak, they begin to form what we call a density veil. Pure consciousness has very little density, right? Like, that's why they always show spirits like wisps of air. And then your body is super dense. It's all heavy and stuff. You gotta like drag it if it doesn't have any life to it. You know how heavy dead people are. When they say this is just dead weight, somebody passed out, you gotta lift them up. The density veil. And this is why mostly when you incarnate in this life, you don't remember who you are, any experiences that you had, where you lived, where you died, how you died. You don't remember those things. Some of those things do break through the veil. They cut through the veil in your dreams. Very often, when you have a very weird dream and you're somebody else and you did this thing, you remember this traumatic event, a lot of times those are your past lives pushing through the veil. And what you do is you get up, you nod it off, you move on about your day. You want to declare to the universe, I remove all false seals. I remove all density veils from every lifetime I've incarnated here. I'm removing all false programming from every lifetime I incarnated here, the lies, right? I remove all energy that does not belong to me. That is now removing the density veil of other people's energetic experiences. If your mom growing up was stressed the hell out, you think that didn't affect you? You think that didn't imprint on you at all? I keep hearing this thing on television, on the timeline, where people are saying, stop yelling at your kids before they go to bed and think that they're going to have a good day the next day. That's not something that I experienced growing up. It's not something that I do with my kids, but I said, wow, like that's the thing that I just keep saying this on my timeline, right? You yell at your kids because your mama yelled at you before you went to bed, and her mother yelled at her, her grandmother yelled at her, and so on and so forth. And they're basically like, cut this cycle out. Cut it out. Stop cussing at your kids. Don't call your children little MFers. Why would you do that? Right? You're just like, well, why are you doing that? But a lot of times when you see that type of behavior, that went there, and it's either going to continue to go there or that person's going to make a hard stop. Right? Not with me. We're not doing this. Superficiality. Right? If your mom was superficial and vain and all she was worried about was partying, high end shoes, high end bags, nice clothes, a lot of times that lands on the daughter. Quite often you'll have that one daughter that be like, I want more value to my life. I don't want to live the superficial life where we don't talk about feelings, we just shop and mismanage money. Right? So I'm tying it all the way back to the end now because I'm explaining to you that if generational wealth is your goal, is your objective, I implore you to first look at the mindset, look at the blocks, look at the energetics of your ancestors, and start doing the work. When I talked about being able to manipulate the fourth dimension is time and space. When it comes to spirit, time and space is wildly fluid. When you heal yourself, you are also healing the past. You're cleansing the bloodline. That's why they use the term bloodline. That bloodline is a channel. It's like a tube. It really is. It's a life force. It is a living thing. When you heal your inner child, when you heal the wounded creator, when you heal the sage, when you heal the magician who's able to manifest things in your life, you are also healing your mother's wounds, your grandmother's wounds, your father's wounds, your grandfather's wounds, and so on and so forth, all the way back. One. Two, you have taken that cutlass, you have cut all of that bush down so that your children can propel forward without having to do all of the preparation work. You already did it. That's why the work's important because it's transgenerational. You may be, and if I'm talking to you and you vibing with this, you are likely the transgenerational curse breaker. I'm using the term trans because it goes forward and backwards, right? It's ancestral and it's progeny. That's why I'm using the term trans. Don't let society's whims, I gotta be very careful, you know, kind of mess your mind up about the terms that I'm using. Transgenerational wealth, for the most part, it goes forward, right? Obviously, you say to yourself, my ancestors can't use my wealth, but they can use the cleansing of the mindset that you've created in order to attain, maintain, and build that wealth moving forward. These are the conversations we need to have in our community. This is the stuff I would prefer to see on my timeline. My timeline is incredible. I've learned a lot. There's a lot of great content creators who have taught me a lot on my timeline, but there's still a significant amount of foolishness. 3D stuff. I call it the third dimension stuff because it's the lower frequencies, it's the lower chakras, right? They're very important. They are building blocks. Your root, your sacral, and your solar plexus. Look at my room. You guys been watching this show. You know that after my husband died, I had to paint my room yellow to build my solar plexus back up. That's my power generator. I have to build my power up. See, my nails are yellow, right? I'm surrounding myself to build up, to build up my solar plexus in order to be empowered to create the frequency, to create the vibratory level of higher highs, lower lows. Not only is the solar plexus yellow, but the color of joy is yellow in a state of grief, right? So this is what I mean when I say you have to do the work. You cannot allow the circumstances and the karmic cycles of life to keep you in lower highs and lower lows. That's not what you came to earth to do. Oh, cousin H. Hey, cousin H. Tell your wife and your beautiful babies I said hello. All I'm hearing is dial on, dial on, dial on. That's so funny. I don't know if everybody know that Chappelle show is so old and making the band is so old. um, and then you guys always notice that my heater is always that color. This is the color of your crown chakra on purpose. There's nothing coming out of it. There's no heat, no air coming out of there. But this is my light therapy. And then I have some orchids that match that. I'm just going to show y'all real quick, right? Because I'm showing you some of the work that I do. My bed is also yellow. I lay in joy. And then you got the chakra, right? The consciousness chakra touched in there. Third eye, it says Paris, but no, this is purple. Throat chakra, blue. This is the stuff that I surround myself with, right? My bedroom's like my little apartment. Them boys take up the whole house, y'all. It's like house ain't even big enough for them. They take up the whole house. It's like my little apartment. But and then this is my little memory table. Y'all know Simon was a heavy Bengals fan, so I try to keep that going for him. I don't know if he's been in to visit me lately. I think he's doing his thing on the other side, which I prefer for him to do. I want him to have a robust experience as pure consciousness on the other side. And then I'm going to see what we can do and what can happen when we enter into the fifth dimension. I'm working on activating those gifts, y'all. Working on it. But I don't want him to be tethered here to this dimension when he's got work to do on that one. Boy mom problems. I tell you what, and they so big too, right? Reggie almost 6 feet. Sean is like 5'10" or something. They just take up so much space. They be on the couch watching the fight and watching the NFL and stuff like that. So this is my little apartment, y'all. And then I do have my work office that I spend a lot of time in. But I'm just showing you different ways to do the work. And the authenticity of that, it shows, right? Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So you can tell just in casual conversation when people are unhealed and wildly triggered and when they are going through a healing process, right? And healing process is different for everyone. There is no right way or wrong way to do it. For some people, they just need like just give me a start. What are some things I can do to just get started? Grounding. If you sit out and align with the sun, which represents your soul, with the earth that represents your body, with the wind that represents your breath. God breathed the breath of life into Adam, and the word Adam or Adama, the the actual word, means red earth. Meaning he was black like us. Right? Y'all ever seen red clay dirt? It kind of look like black people, coppery black people. Um, earth, water, right? You're made of water. Typically, there's dew, depending on how early you go out there. But I take the water with me out there and I offer it to the earth because it, my part of the yard get beat down by the sun, so I bring the water. And the ether, I keep telling y'all the ether. They killed Tesla because Tesla was saying if you create these things, which is what those rods are on cathedrals. Those rods on cathedrals were supposed to harvest electricity and give it back free. They also had church bells, which were supposed to vibrate in a certain way. When you went to church for healing, you really were getting a healing. It was the closest thing you could get to the pyramids. The organ, the acoustics of the cathedral was designed for you to be healed, right? People didn't die like they say they did. They want to tell you everybody died in their 20s and 30s of cholera, of this, of that, of the third. Lies, lies, lies. And we're seeing all of the lies. We're seeing all of the lies. When you start looking into what the witch hunts were of Salem and all of these different witch hunts, It was because they were getting up to brand up to create companies to give you their little potions and stuff. They didn't want you picking that shit in your backyard, making your tea for free and feeling better. Look what it's turned into in 2025, what Big Pharma looked like. There's this commercial, and all of the commercials like this, and it's not funny, but it makes me laugh. The lady's like, yes, the doctor gave me such and such for this, but it gave me this and this and this. And she just kept naming all of the stuff that was going wrong with her from this one pill that was supposed to do one thing for her. Yes, it did the one thing, but then 12 other things went wrong. So now you're prescribing me 8 other medications to take care of that come with their own issues. I digress. I was telling y'all about grounding. When you align up with the ether, right? That's the electricity. You know that you have electrical activity in your body, right? This is why when people are coding in the hospital, they get the defibrillator, which is electricity, and it shocks their heart back into place, right? Because we have electrical synapses and electrical activity that keep our body going. We are electrical beings. We need to charge in the sun. Picture yourself, I keep saying this, you are a cell phone, your charger is the sun. You go out there, put your feet in the ground, at least 5 to 10 minutes. There's a guy, he's a scientist, he's a doctor or something. He said 3 minutes in the grass, in dirt. I always say soil because you're doing something specific, or in running water, like a creek or something where the water's running, it's not stagnant. 3 minutes has a profound physiological effect on your body. He can only imagine what it does for you on a spiritual, emotional level. That's what he said. He can only imagine because he can't quantify that. It gets your nervous system back in place. If you are aligned, you are these 5 things, the earth is these 5 things. You are energetically aligned with natural abundance. There is no lack or scarcity on planet Earth. That's why all these different beings live here, from the reptilians to the Dracos to the dragons to the vampires to the lichens. I can name 1,000 beings that live on this planet. They live on this planet because there's no scarcity. That's why they're here. You're aligned energetically with peace. How peaceful is it when you go out and you ground? It is the most peaceful thing ever. High vibratory, high frequency. When you hear those birds sing, and scientists have mapped their singing, it is one of the highest vibrations that the earth naturally emits. Bird singing. Don't let a hummingbird be out there either doing his little flittery thing. Dragonflies. Dragonflies flitter just like hummingbirds do. I am talking to you about all of the elements of nature. And what the universe is saying to you is that you and I are one. Just like the Bible says, the Father and I are one. If God, source, whatever you want to call him, Yahuwah, created the earth, what you are putting your feet on is the last thing he touched. Think about that. It says God created the heavens and the earth. Okay. It's the last thing he touched. I'm going to touch that. And I'm going to get my divine spark going again. And you do it. Just do it for 10 days. And come back and tell me how you feel. When the wind blows, often when you start meditating out there, the wind will blow just in sheer confirmation of whatever it is you talking about to the universe out there. The breath of life. You can feel it. It caresses your skin. The earth blowing. It blows through your hair. It is boy, put your shit down. It's an energetic communication between you and the earth. When the sun kisses your face, your head, your arms, your feet, it's an energetic engagement with the earth. They fill your cities with concrete, fake grass, asphalt, because they don't want you to have contact with the last thing Source created. It is the thing that charges you. It is the thing that resets you. It is the thing that repairs your nervous system. That's why you see monks, Shaolin monks, and all of these different high energetic level human beings. They're always crisscross in the earth. Sadhguru, he's a famous guru. I don't know if y'all know him, but the gurus in India, they walk around bare feet or with sandals because they're gonna kick their sandals off and put their feet in the dirt while they talk to you. They are always connected with you. They're not taking breaks to ground. They're always grounded, and they'll tell you that, right? Don't do as the world does. Go within. What is your higher self telling you to do? What does your life path look like? What should you be doing energetically on this life path? Your higher self will reveal it to you, right? The kingdom of heaven is within, and he who knows himself will find himself therein. Remember that. Seek ye first the kingdom, everything else to be added unto you. Your provision, your protection, all of the things that we worry about and lacking in scarcity, we will absolutely magnetize to ourselves. And you'll see that because you'll start moving in the life path according to your soul purpose that you designed. You designed it. People be like, I ain't asked to come here. Yes, you did. That's how this works. Nobody's forced to come to earth. That's how this works. You decided to come here for a time such as this to do whatever it is you're supposed to be doing. And now you just have to remember that, right? The density veil. Don't forget that. Many of us live in density veils. As the veil thins and gets thinner and gets thinner and finally dissipates, you remember who you are. You remember your ancient self. You remember the power that you possess. You remember the love that you contribute, and you hold that frequency for all of the people who haven't gotten there yet. So when I talk about unhealed people, we are supposed to hold that space for them to find their way here. Higher highs, higher lows. Just like you want your stock market to be like that, right? You want your investment portfolios to be higher highs. You first be that higher high, higher low. And then you'll magnetize that because you are that. And it will align with you. When you guys see those, Simon used to have some, I don't know where they are, but those little balls, right? If you put another rack of those balls, even when they're out of sync, they'll eventually become in sync with one another. When women live in the house, you can put 5 strange women in the house who are of menstrual age, their menses will align with one another. When you have a very specific frequency, all the things within that frequency will align with you. That's what magnetizing is. When I say you will magnetize your wealth, once you enter into the kingdom, the domain of the king, because you know yourself, you're going to magnetize the wealth you're looking for. You do the transgenerational curse breaking, you're going to get the transgenerational wealth. It's you are that thing, and you are going to attract the things that fall in line with that vibration and that frequency. You want to touch higher consciousness. With that being said, I love y'all. I gotta go. I think I'm supposed to go to the supermarket. I really don't feel like going to the supermarket. I don't even know if Sean home from work yet. While I say that, I may go to the supermarket tomorrow. But grounding, dream work. You need help with dream work? Email me. Simple as that. You want it? You have the resource to help you with it. Grounding, dream work, gratitude practice. Gratitude. Gratitude will shift your perception from all you see is lack to all you see is abundance. All you see is prosperity. And there is like an expansive, I can't even describe it. There's your chest, like the cage of my chest feels like it could just open and I can fly out of it when I do my gratitude. And I spend a significant portion of my day in that gratitude. Yesterday, I was able to complete the gratitude journal that I started a week after Simon died. And the gratitude I had for that was, in spite of my loss, I had so many things to be grateful for. I think because the journal is like 3 months long or whatever. I had so many things to be grateful for that I was able to finish. It was 3 or 4 months. I think it's 4 months because it's supposed to be one book per quarter. I was able to finish it all the way through to the last page. That's how many things I was grateful for in spite of my loss, in spite of, um, me having to process my grief and stuff like that. So that's not true. I had a book I finished in January, so that's not true. But I finished the book. This book that I finished yesterday, yeah, I started that, I think, like in mid-January. It was like around our anniversary or his birthday or something. But I finished it, and like I was saying, I was so happy that I finished this whole entire book from start to finish in spite of higher highs, higher lows. And it was a great receipt for the gratitude that I have for the journey that I'm on, even when the journey is sad, right? It's like bittersweet. It's sad. But he's pure consciousness. He's not in any pain. He don't not feel good. He probably feels great every day. And that's one of the reasons why I really can't be that sad, right? The man was kind of like miserable towards the end, not in a attitude way, but he's a big guy. He used to be really, really active, and then towards the end, he couldn't be active at all. You guys sat and watched the decline, so you know what I'm talking about. Um, but we want to do the work. Love y'all. I will talk to you guys 5-ish on Thursday.